Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and as always, I want to say thank you all who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal, or Super Thanks. It really helps, so thank you friends and have a great day. As tradition implies, today's video I will start with the situation in Orikhiv front. First, it is important to note that although pro-Ukrainian sources are claiming Petykhatki to be in full control of their forces, however, recent reports suggest that this settlement is still in the gray zone. Those reports suggest that both Russians and Ukrainians are launching attacks and counterattacks, with the settlement of Petykhatki being the battlefield for such attacks. Then let's go to the Orikhiv itself. About a day ago, Russians were successful in their counterattack here in this sector and were able to push Ukrainian forces as far as possible from the settlement of Rabotina. It would seem that they have entrenched themselves in this area as of right now. All throughout last 24 hours, Ukrainians were continuously launching their attacks from Novodanilovka towards Rabotina and from Malotokmachka in the attempt to widen their overall front line, as well as from Novodarivka towards Nesteryanka. Those attacks were unsuccessful, and there are some videos that I have for you to show. For example, here is a video of K-52 Alligator destroying Bradley. Judging by the explosion, it would seem that the ammo within it detonated. This general picture is what you are going to have if you don't have aerial superiority, which Ukrainians here in this sector don't have. And even the promises of F-16s will not be enough, as these F-16s will be delivered to Ukraine in very small numbers. Then I have a video of a Russian tank towing MRAP infantry fighting vehicle that was captured from the Ukrainian forces. This generally means that when Ukrainians are advancing, and as the fight is initiated, they lose or leave some of their damaged vehicles on the front line. The fact that Russians are able to tow them away means that they are able to advance deeper into the gray zone and thus being able to tow those said vehicles. And lastly, I also have a video of a Ukrainian soldier shooting a video which shows a burning infantry fighting vehicle with 3 other damaged and along with their own tank, and smiling for some unknown reason. Then let's quickly move to a Vremivka tactical bridgehead, which is located here. Throughout last 24 hours, Ukrainians were assaulting Russian positions all across this bridgehead. None of those attacks resulted in any success. Especially heavy fighting are happening in between Staromayorsky and Novodonetsky. And although Ukrainians are using everything they can here in this sector, they are still unable to penetrate Russian lines as of right now. Then let's move ourselves to the situation in Marinka, where territorial changes have actually appeared. If you remember, in yesterday's video I showed you a video of MLTB being remotely controlled by Russians and being used as so-called Shahid Mobil. Here I have a video for you of a more successful attack with that kind of tactic. It would seem that this attack helped because Russians advanced here once again. As you can see, once again, it is insignificant, but Russians had become extremely active on this front line, advancing through these open fields and capturing tree lines. As you can see, generally they are advancing towards Novomikhailivka, and these actions help Russians advancing towards settlement of Pobeda. Generally, the attacks towards Novomikhailivka had intensified, with Russians attacking here almost every day. But again, most of the success is happening here to the north of the settlement. Then let's visit Avdiivka, where situation is also developing in an interesting way. First of all, here in this sector, Ukrainians is mostly on the attack. In the last 24 hours, they were attacking towards Vadyane and Apitne, as well as especially heavy fighting are reported in between Kamyanka and Krutobalka. Here, Ukrainians have intensified their attacks, with Russians fighting back and not allowing Ukrainians to advance ever slightly. There's also a lot of reports of a TOS-1 Solntsepek being used against Ukrainians, and here is the video of that. Of course, fighting still continues in the triangle of Novokalinova, Krasnogorivka and Novobakhmutivka without any results for the both sides. Then let's visit Bakhmut or Artyomovsk. It's been reported that throughout last 24 hours, Ukrainians had launched several attacks in the direction of Ozornikivka, Kurdyumovka, across the canal, and from Ivanivsky in the general direction of Klishivka. In the general direction of Klishivka, Russians are fighting back, committing some counter-attack operations here, so the territory here did not change whatsoever. Ukrainians still continue their unsuccessful attacks towards Yagodne and Verkhivka, soiling the ground with their destroyed or damaged tanks and armored vehicles. From here, let's quickly also visit the Serebryensky forest. If you remember yesterday, I reported that Russians have started advancing here in this sector, and as a result of those offensive operations, they were able to capture about this much territory from the Ukrainian forces. Although the territory itself isn't that big, but don't forget this is forest and marshlands, so fighting here in this area is especially hard for both Russians and Ukrainians, and any gains in this sector, in my opinion, is truly heroic. Then let's quickly talk about Dnipro River. Here, as you can see, the result of that dam being destroyed. As you can see, almost the entire reservoir had dried out, and this is the result of about 14-15 days. Here's the video of how it looks from the first-person perspective.
Так виглядає водосховище на правому березі від Енергодару. Води немає взагалі. Взагалі немає води. Через декілька місяців тут буде величезна пустеля. А вон там, на тому березі, Енергодар.
So, as you can see, this entire area, especially area around the nuclear plant, Energodar, has completely dried out. The ground is still a little bit moist, but it's drying up as days go. Summer in this area is extremely hot. Now, the interesting fact is that the bottom of the Dnipro River, especially here in this sector, is not silt and mud, but in fact sand and rock. When dried up, it can provide a solid foundation for some of the lighter Ukrainian armored vehicles to drive on it. And if my words reflect reality, it would mean that Russians would have new and wide front line to care about. The most dangerous, of course, being Energodar, because now Ukrainians can literally reach it on foot. Now, it doesn't mean that Russians won't be able to launch a counter-offensive across this dried-up reservoir. And I could assume that they could try and attack in general direction of Zaporozhye and Nikopol to help their troops here in this sector, and also spread Ukrainian lines thin, So I believe this is a double-edged sword with both Russians and Ukrainians can use this situation to their advantage. So with this I end today's video. If you have something to add, if you disagree with me, please consider doing it in the comment section. It is there for a reason. I don't always answer to those comments, but I always read them. So feel free to tell me your opinion, whether the attack across now dried up Dnipro Reservoir is possible or not, with all the information that I've given to you. Also, please don't forget to support this video with a like, comment, and a subscription. Those actions help to promote my video to a wider audience and thus spreading the message. If you feel extra generous, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It will help me a lot. Thank you in advance. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.